Good morrow, my sweet strangers. It's hard to believe the summer's almost over. The trees are starting to shed their leaves, and it's time to harvest some of this year's crops. We had some rain after a hot summer, but that makes the tomatoes crack, so I better use them before they start rotting. Do you make your ketchup at home? Let me know in the comments. The ketchup is super popular and in demand in my house, so let's make some. I use 5.5 pounds of tomatoes for one batch, mostly because I don't have a bigger pot. The meaty ones are the best. I prefer the Ox Heart and San Marzano tomatoes for my ketchup, but any tomatoes will do. It might just take longer to cook the water out. I rinse them, of course, and cut them to pieces, removing all the blemishes and parts I don't like. I'm a bit picky. Then, I'll need about ½ pound of yellow onions. I cut them into larger pieces, so it's easier to cook them. If you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe to my Crafty Handed channel for assorted DIY videos. And please, give me a like. And I add them to the tomatoes. I start the pot on low heat while preparing the rest. I like my ketchup well balanced, so I'm adding about 5 ounces of granulated sugar. But it all depends on the sweetness of your tomatoes. Then I prepare the seasoning. 10 black peppercorns, 10 dried allspice berries, 4 cloves, 1 teaspoon of ground red paprika, a dash of ground cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of salt to balance the sugar, and 2 bay leaves, and add it all into the pot. I'm not adding any extra water because the tomatoes have enough juice. Just make sure to stir them well at the beginning before they start releasing it, so they don't scorch at the bottom. Later, it's enough to stir the pot once in a while. I usually start with almost a gallon of tomatoes, which reduces to about 4 pints in 90 minutes. And in the meantime, I prepare my bottles. I don't buy any, just recycle whatever I have at home. I wash them carefully in soapy water and rinse them in boiling water. So, when I have about 4 pints left in my pot, I take a smaller pot and press the mixture through a sieve with a wooden spoon to remove the skins and seeds with spices. It takes a bit of a muscle without modern technology, but it works just fine for me. Yes, it's quite a work for 4.5 bottles of ketchup, but I know what it's made of, and the flavor is just delicious. Now it's time to check the consistency. If the ketchup still feels too watery, it needs to be cooked a bit longer. Finally, to balance the sweet and sour flavor, I add about ½ cup of apple vinegar and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I cook it for another 10 minutes, mostly to evaporate the sharp smell of vinegar. And only when I'm ready to fill my bottles, I stir in a ½ teaspoon of sorbic acid. It is natural organic food preservative, but you can totally skip it. The vinegar should have enough acid to preserve the ketchup. Of course, you can adjust the sugar-salt-vinegar ratio to your liking. Let me know if you tried it and liked it in the comments. I fill my bottles with boiling hot ketchup close them immediately, and turn them upside down for a while. And not to get my batches and jars mixed up in my big pantry, I always print labels with the date and the content. When the bottles are cooled down slightly, I turn them right side up and check the lids if they don't sound hollow and are sucked down properly. Now I just label them and my ketchup is ready to be stored. It lasts easily for 4 years in a dry, cool, dark pantry. I was still using some of my 2020 ketchup this year, and it was tasting just great. Thank you for watching, and until next time.